you stay away from the processed foods because they're too high in concentrated carbohydrate and sugar.
Yes.
Fundamentally. Now, there may be other reasons to avoid them as well.
Yeah.
The chemicals that are in them, the fact that they've been designed to be addictive, etc.
Oh, yes.
But to me, that's trivial compared to the fact that, no, mostly they're just the equivalent of sugar.
Yep.
Okay, now you graze around the edges. That means the kinds of vegetables you don't really like, right?
Yeah.
Dairy, including butter, including yogurt, all of that.
Yes.
So that's food that people actually like.
Yeah.
Not sweetened yogurt, no sugar. Stay away from the damn sugar.
Yeah.
Meat. And that's about that, fundamentally. Right.
Yes.
And definitely don't drink soft drinks.
No, it's absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you don't want your food to come from, the less you are able to formulate a diet where your food isn't coming from bags and boxes with barcodes, the better off you're going to be. And the way you just described it, you've done it. Yeah. To me, I mean, first and foremost, we have more in common with a wolf, digestively speaking, than we do our closest animal relative like chimpanzees or apes or any other primate. If you look at the digestive system
Chimps spend 8 hours a day chewing.
Yeah, they have to eat constantly because it is such a nutrient deficient diet. Their colon, their large intestine, is substantially bigger than the humans because they have to ferment so much. Moreover,
and brain comparatively smaller.
Very small brain, very big intestines.
Yes.
And
that's the vegan evolutionary pathway, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, and you want to shrink your brain, remove animal-sourced foods from it, and you'll be like your other primate cousins and start to shrink your brain. But unfortunately, you don't have the colon to ferment as much as they do. Moreover, you're probably not prepared to eat your own feces, which is what they'll do to get vitamin B12. A purely plant-based diet is so deficient in nutrients, it is utterly incompatible with the human survival, let alone human reproduction. I consider it, in fact, I feel so strongly about this that I actually consider it to be quite devilish or overtly satanic, that I think of, if you'll allow me to invoke some scripture, we often talk about Christ's great commandments, love God, love your neighbor. And yet there was a commandment that preceded those, which was God's commandment to Adam and Eve, be fruitful, multiply and replenish the earth. That was the first commandment. And the older I'm getting, as both a man of religion and of science, I sort of use that commandment as my litmus test. If this is an ideology or a principle or a practice that is going to make it harder for people to reproduce,
there's something fundamentally wrong with it.
Then there's something wrong with it, and I must reject it. And so even when it comes to diet...
reproductive capacity is species health across generations, right? It's the equivalent of health, except across generations. So obviously anything that's anti-reproduction in its essence is, there isn't anything more pathological.
Yeah, whether you invoke God, whether the commandment to Adam and Eve, or whether you invoke evolution, whose great design is to just have an advantage to reproduce, you all come back to reproduction.
See, one of the things I'm seeing on the Maha side is that it's difficult to bring unity to the field of preventative medicine. I mean, many people are concentrating on the panoply of chemicals that are in like Fruit Loops, and fair enough. Fair enough. But for me, the problem with a Fruit Loop is that it's basically just a sugar lump.
Oh, you and I are totally aligned on this. You have to manage your macros. All the other micro stuff, that matters a little, but if your macronutrients aren't aligned, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and I have rules for each of them, then all that other stuff is fluff. Yeah,
it's noise, essentially.
It's noise.
Yeah,
well, that's the needle a little, but not enough to do anything.
Well, and then the thing is, if you're only able to fight one battle at a time, you better fight the right battle.
That's right.
And it seems to me, now, it's also the case that there's no recommended daily allowance for carbohydrates.
Yeah, oddly enough.
I know, that's very odd. So expand on what that means.
Yeah, so it's odd for multiple reasons, including I consider it the most pathogenic because of everything we've been describing, but it's also the one that is utterly unessential. You appreciate this, but most people don't. Even within the United States, the Department of Agriculture years ago had a statement where it says something like, I'm going to loosely quote it, the lower limit of dietary carbohydrates is 0.
Right. Zero's a low limit.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty low number.
That's for sure.
And yet, that's the one you tell me to eat the most of, born from the food guide pyramid and its ill-fated ideology, or born from the modern obsession, sort of a pseudo-religious view that we can't kill anything, and what a naive view. Life is death. Everything that is alive benefits because something died before it, and we benefit from all of that stuff. So we have this kind of perverse, shifted view of nutrition where we focus on carbohydrates. The one thing we literally don't need to eat it.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. And yet 70% of all calories globally come from carbohydrates.
Yeah,
So
well, they do have the advantage of being cheap in the short run.
yeah,
You know, and
especially if it's subsidized, it's cheap
yeah, well,
for the person
that's
who's
a separate
purchasing it.
issue. Like, because you could imagine, you know, humanity's been solving a sequence of problems, and one problem, and it was real, was there just wasn't enough calories. Okay, so you probably want to address that so people don't starve.
Yep.
And fair enough, and maybe you can address that more cheaply with corn than with beef. Okay, and so there, we've given the devil his due, but that doesn't mean that that constitutes an optimized diet. And that's where I think the people who created the food pyramid were criminal. Criminal.
Yeah.
Because the story, and this is a story you're fleshing out, is that the base of the pyramid, so that's where you get the bulk of your calories,
Yep.
according to the hypothetically scientific guidelines of the government, which were never scientific in the least, right from the beginning, is that that's where you should derive the bulk of your calories.
Yes.
And then fats and meat are a tiny element of that.
Yeah, no,
and that's they knew from what I've seen in my investigations, is that the people who designed that bloody pyramid were told by their own scientists that they were going to produce an epidemic of obesity and diabetes.
Yeah, Dr. Philip Handler was the president of one of the leading scientific societies in the United States at the time. And I'm going to loosely quote him, but he says, "What right has the federal government to conduct such a grand experiment with the population of the United States as its test subjects?"
Yeah.
That it had never been done.
With no control.
No, that's right. It had never been done.
And no consent.
And look at what's happened. People want to blame meat for all what ails us, which talk about an insane ideology. But you look at red meat consumption from the early 1900s till now, it's been a steady decline. And yet what's happened to heart disease, even at the superficial 30,000-foot view, blaming meat for the ills of these diseases of civilization, these plagues of prosperity, it makes no sense.
Yeah. Well,
meat
now we've got the bloody
plummeted.
Greens who are doing the same thing. And, you know, the globalist utopian vision,
yes.
This is the C40 vision. This is a consortium of municipalities all around the world, including many of the world's biggest cities. They want a 95% reduction in meat consumption. That's not all. 95% reduction in private automobile ownership.
Oh, yes, of course.
A one short-haul flight per person every 3 years.
Oh, my.
3 items of clothing per year.
That sounds like a perfect way to enslave people.
Oh, it's just beyond comprehension. But the meat element is particularly egregious as far as I'm concerned, because there are forms of agriculture that are meat intensive, that revivify soil. And the idea that that's contributing to something like a climate catastrophe, that I can't imagine a stupider lie than that one. Although there are some.
It is tragic because for multiple reasons. Just as a fun aside, when studies in men have shown that if man stops eating meat, saturated fats in particular, his testosterone plummets, his sperm production plummets. Like, this is antithetical to human production.
Wouldn't you think that that's an evolution, that's a biological sign of scarcity?
Yes, that's right.
Well, it's no bloody wonder that you
don't reproduce.
don't reproduce now because all you have to eat is broccoli.
Yeah.
Right.